the mothers. You gotta love the mothers. And you gotta hug the ones who bring us joy and love. It's the middle with the moms and it's a Sunday.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have redone this intro 5,000 times because I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fine. Thank you for listening. Thank you for going along this little podcast journey with me. I am so excited to finally get this out. I really wanted to announce on Mother's Day because I thought what a perfect day to announce, a podcast about mom stuff, but the episodes weren't uploaded yet, so I know that was a little confusing. Had a lot of people asking about that. So sorry. I'm going to try to have it every single week. If I don't have an episode come on that week, it's probably because I was a little busy with mom stuff or, wedding stuff, because I am a wedding videographer and photographer, and I got to edit all that good stuff. So anyway, thank you for listening. This is going to be so fun, so emotional. Definitely going to be an emotional roller coaster. There's so many stories, so many things and topics to talk about that have to do with the journey of motherhood. And I can't wait to have all these guests come on so that we can all learn new things together, because motherhood can feel lonely at times. It's the best thing that will happen to you, but it is so hard. So I want to be vulnerable and I want to be relatable. And I know my guests that are going to come on have great things to share, great stories. I'm so excited about this. I'm so thankful for everyone who has helped me. Thank you to Emma Fox for helping me with my branding photos. Thank you to Mike Sweep for helping me with that awesome jingle. Seriously, I'm smiling ear to ear. The fact that is my jingle, like what? Thank you, Mike. But anyway, thank you to every guest that has come on and been vulnerable with me. And thank you to every future guest, because I know there's a lot of things that are not easy to talk about. And I have some episodes on here that are going to be hard to listen to, but they're important and they can make a difference in your life. They can make you look at life differently, and they can just really help you be the best mom, the best person that you can be. But anyway, here is my beautiful, amazing, smart, gorgeous, badass mother, Pamela Boney. Here she is. But first, cheers.
Cheers.
We got our drink.
Woohoo.
Cheers to the new podcast.
Yes.
And this podcast being about moms, and my mom is my first
Woohoo.
guest.
Yay.
Cheers.
So excited. Cheers.
Well, I'm so excited that we're finally doing this.
Me too. I feel so honored.
Well, duh, you're my mom. And it's a podcast about moms.
That's right.
Well, first I just want to introduce you a little bit. So
Okay.
my mom is a little badass. She's the best mom in the world, and I know everybody says that, but I'm right. But you're the best mom in the world, and I look up to you so much. Everything I do, really in life, but with the kids, I literally am thinking, what would you do, or what did you do? And it used to be one of those things where, I would do something that you would do, and I would be like, oh, God, my mom does that. I'm turning into my mom. But now I'm like, okay, my mom does that, so I have to do this. Or if I ever have a question about anything, I obviously, text you or call you.
That's
It's
right.
probably annoying, but
No, I love it.
I just want the guidance because I want to raise good children, because you've raised amazing children.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
thank you.
But anyway, you're just a huge role model. You're very inspiring, and not only to me, but all of my friends always are commenting on you and Dad. Even at Raylan's party a couple of days ago or a week ago, people are like, "Oh my God, your parents are like the hottest couple," or they'll say something about y'all's looks, or they'll just be like, "They are just the coolest couple ever, parents ever," and you are. I'm so lucky to have you guys. You'll have such a great marriage and relationship, and like you said, it's not always, rainbows and butterflies.
That's
but
right.
You are just, the way y'all are partners and team is just incredible. And that has a lot to do with, being a mom. But anyway, so I'm just so thankful that you're my mom, and I'm so glad that you're doing this with me. I know it's kind of weird. It's cool though.
It is.
I'm so excited about this, but yeah, so, you want to talk about yourself a little bit? Talk about what, made you decide to want to be a mom, or have you always known you wanted to be a mom?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to be a mother. since I was a little girl, I can remember that's what I knew I wanted to do, was to be a wife and a mom and have lots of kids. I used to think I wanted to have 5 boys and then 1 girl, and have the girl last so that she would be spoiled and protected by her 5 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But God knew that wasn't what I needed. But I always did know. I never really knew what I wanted to do for a career. It took me a while to get there. I kind of did know I wanted to be a teacher, but then I kept pushing that aside. But I always stuck with, I knew I wanted to be a mom. So that was something that was just always there.
Absolutely. That's how I feel too. I mean, probably because I'm the oldest and then have 2 younger siblings, I just have always wanted to be a mom.
Yes.
And always with my Barbies or Polly Pockets or whatever, I was always a mom with kids, you know.
Right.
So I always knew I wanted to be one too.
Yes.
So, yeah. So when did you, I know we were kind of talking about it earlier, but when did you and Dad decide that y'all wanted to start having kids?
Well, we didn't really have a specific time that we were going to do that. It was like not yet, because we had just been married a few years when we were blessed to find out we were expecting with you.
Yeah.
So we were very excited about that, but it wasn't really like we were trying. It
Right.
just kind of one of those things that happened. And
Oh.
yes,
I think I know what that's like.
unexpected blessing. Yes. Your brother, we were definitely trying, but it took a while
Okay.
to get pregnant with him. And then with Gary Michael, we were trying with
Okay.
him. And then with Francesca as well.
Okay.
We did try with all of those.
So sounds like I was an uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not really an uh-oh. Woo!
Right. It was like, woo-hoo. I was like, okay. But we knew exactly where you were conceived and when and all that. So
Well, why don't you share that a little bit? Not too much in detail because you're my
Okay.
mom.
Yeah.
But why don't you share that? Because I think that's pretty funny and honestly really freaking cool.
Yes. Well, you were conceived when we joined the Mile High Club. And we were on our way
drink.
home from Hawaii. And
On our way home. Okay.
yes, we were on our way home from Hawaii, and we were on the red eye, and it just, one thing led to another, and that's the only place or time that you could have been conceived. And so we know that's where it was.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool story.
I came from a very cool spot.
You did. You did. So your grandmother had this like bathing suit cover up made for me in Hawaii the next time she went, and had them draw an airplane on it.
Oh my God.
And write Baby Boney. And so I still have it somewhere.
Wait, because of that?
Yeah.
So she knew. So you told her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I tell you everything too. So.
Yeah. And she told everybody in the world. So
Oh, I know
a
she
lot
would
of
have done
people-
that.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
everybody
you
knew.
already know.
Well, now everybody's gonna know
That's right.
on this.
That's okay.
But anyway, so I came to be because of that, and then Nikki is my little brother. He's 4 years younger than me.
That's correct.
So how long? Like, when did y'all start trying? Like, how old was I?
Probably 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
space. That's great spacing between
Yes.
children. Honestly.
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah.
Because I really got to spend a lot of time with just you.
Yeah.
And those formidable years, and it really meant a lot. It may have been before 3, but y'all are 4.5 years apart.
Okay.
So it took maybe 9 months to a year. I can't remember
Wow.
exactly.
I didn't know that.
Just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
For some reason or another. I guess God was waiting for Nikki to be born. So, but yeah.
So that took a while. Were you worried? Like,
A little bit. I went to the doctor and I talked to her about it. And maybe after 6 months, and she said, well, let's give it 6 more months. If it doesn't happen, then we'll see what's going on. And it happened.
okay.
So,
After Nikki was born, you waited another 3 years. And was it kind of the same thing or?
well, we didn't wait quite as long
Oh,
with
okay.
Nikki.
Oh, that's true.
Because we had Gary Michael,
That's
who
true.
was stillborn between Nikki and Francesca. So after Gary Michael was born, then my OB said that we should wait 6 months
Because he was
before
a
we
stillborn.
try again, right? And so that's when we tried and immediately got pregnant with
Yeah.
your sister.
Yeah. But then, so then Francesca came, but you forgot one little detail. Francesca was actually a twin.
We knew we were pregnant, so I went to the doctor's office, and they wanted to do ultrasound, early ultrasound, since I'd had a stillborn, make sure everything was okay. And so back then, Nick wasn't going with me to that appointment, but I remember sitting down, and that's when they had phones sitting on the little tables by the sofas.
Wow.
Because we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone. I said, hey, I'm getting ready to go in for the ultrasound. No, and that's not what I said. I said, hey, I just got through with my ultrasound, even though I was getting ready to go in.
Right.
I was teasing him. I said, are you sitting down? He's like, what do you mean? I said, we are having triplets. And he's like, what? Triplets? I said, yes. Can you believe it? He's like, no, I can't believe it. I said, I'm just kidding. So we're not. I haven't even gone in for my ultrasound yet. So then I went in for my ultrasound, and she says, oh, here's baby A, and here's baby B. And I was like, what? And I came out of there, and I was lightheaded. I was like, I can't believe this.
I would have blacked out.
So when I called him to tell him that, he didn't really even want to believe me.
Yeah.
But when I took the pictures home, he did. So, but we lost her fairly early on, and we named her Olivia Sophia. And then we had Francesca.
It is a crazy story, and I love that name. I've always wanted to use that name.
Yes,
so
I love
maybe
that.
one day I will get to use it. If I have another one. But anyway, so you've gone through 4 childbirths.
That's correct.
So you are superwoman. And DirecTV's calling me right now. Reject. So they were all 4 different. All four
different.
completely different.
Completely different.
And my 2 were completely different, and you hear, after your first one, the second one, easy peasy, comes, way faster, and it's easy peasy. Liars, not true. Not
different
true
for everybody.
Literally different for everyone. So I would definitely say to people who are about to have their first baby, or who are just about to have another baby, don't have expectations for anything.
That's right.
Just, pray about it, pray for it to be a safe delivery, and try to keep as much stress out of your life, and be as positive as you can be. And then you just kind of got to go in there and go with whatever happens.
That's right.
Because they're all different.
Absolutely.
So do you remember, all pregnancies are different too.
Oh, for sure.
All pregnancies are different. Chessa's for me was amazing. I still had, some pains and stuff. Super nauseous, and Braxton Hicks early on, and this is kind of a TMI, but my friend's going through it right now. But have you ever heard of lightning crotch?
No.
I had it really bad with her, but it would happen in just short spurts. But it's when you get a sharp pelvic pain.
Yes, I had those.
Yes.
Yes.
And they call it lightning crotch.
Okay.
But I had that with her pretty bad. And I would literally be like, "Gah!" and like scream out loud, because you just cannot help it.
Right.
And I would be like, if this lasts longer than that 1 second of pain, I would literally pass out. But anyway, besides that, it's a pretty great pregnancy, an incredible delivery. She came on her own, and I got in there, and I think I pushed like 3 rounds. Like, I don't even know. Like, it was like nothing. It wasn't nothing. It's still hard. I'm not gonna lie, but it was just really good. And my epidural worked perfectly. So I'm so thankful for that. So I went in with, Raylan thinking, oh, this is going to be easy peasy. He's going to come right out. This is great. I'm so good at this, because also Alicia, my OB, which is one of your best friend's daughters, which is amazing. I'm very thankful for that. But she was like, you were made for childbirth. So, I'm going in there like, I got this.
Yeah.
Woo, it was not the case. First of all, the pregnancy with him was so rough. I ended up finding out when she broke my water that I just had an excess amount of fluid. So that probably had a lot to do with it. But I was just so uncomfortable, so tired, which I did have a toddler. I found out I was pregnant when she was 8 months. Or 9 months, I don't know. But anyway, it was just rough, and he was so big, and
So big.
and I didn't stop weddings once again, and it was hard. It was so hard. Wow. And then the birth, labor was almost 24 hours, or it was longer than that, but I had to be induced because he was not going to come out, and I was too big. I couldn't go on any longer. But yeah, that was rough. He finally came out, but let's talk about year 4, because we've kind of talked about it before, but I'm just excited that I get to have this recorded and remember this forever.
Yes, that's right.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about me.
Document it. Okay.
Your firstborn and favorite child.
Yes, let's talk about you. I'm used to that favorite thing. We all are in our family. Mm-hmm. But with you, the pregnancy, I had the normal, morning sickness and everything, but I had a lot of energy.
Hold on, wait. We need to pause for a second.
Okay.
We got crying children.
Oh, goodness.
This is Mom Life. This is the perfect time for a mom podcast. Oh, Mom Life. Can't even do a podcast. But it's okay. I love it. Yes. Okay. Sorry, honey.
That's okay.
Let's talk. You were talking about pregnancy.
Once I got through the first trimester, which for me didn't feel like it ended until about 15 or 16 weeks, then I was over the morning sickness. I had a lot of energy my second trimester, and so I started nesting early.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and had that room just perfect before I even hit the third trimester probably. We didn't find out where any of you were, so it was all...
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we didn't know. It was all a
amazing.
surprise where everybody was finding out, but we didn't want to. We wanted to let it be a surprise.
I love that.
So
I'm
really
definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
If we have another baby.
Yeah, and so it was fun. And for the delivery, I was at 38 weeks, and I just had a terrible migraine on one half of my face, and it was swelling and kind of numb in my lips and tongue and stuff. So I went, and I was 38 weeks. I was 80% effaced. I was 4 centimeters. And I was in a station where you were engaged.
Right.
So they thought, we're just going to take this baby.
Yeah.
And so they told me to come to the hospital at 10 o'clock that night. So I went home and showered and packed and everything and went on to the hospital. And then Dr. Crenshaw came in. He goes, look, I'm here, and... I'm not doing anything. We can just go ahead and induce you now. You don't have to wait till the morning. I said, perfect. Let's do it.
Wow.
So he did, and I was going to try to go natural because I thought, I'm a badass. I can do it.
Yep.
So they had to induce me, though, but my labor, I could tell, was starting to start. The beginning of labor was starting.
Right.
But it would have been, could have been days before it really happened. But it was just the beginning stages of labor.
So you didn't even have contractions?
Early. No.
You just had Braxton Hicks probably, right?
Oh, I had terrible Braxton Hicks.
Yeah, me too.
Terrible. Oof. But not with the other 2 or 3. So anyway, they started me in a Pitocin drip. Well, when those contractions hit, I said, epidural right now.
Yeah.
And so then I got that epidural, and your father and I just didn't have anybody there. It was the middle of the night, and we kind of just wanted it just to be for the 2 of us and to then become a family of 3. Mm-hmm. And I felt so good. It was like just having a party.
Yeah.
And we were just having so much fun. And then after you were born, my blood pressure bottomed out. And I was in recovery for 12 hours before I could go to my hospital room.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And so I had to have people take care of you and send you to the nursery and then back. And it was pretty scary. I was in a blood pressure cuff for 12 hours where they took my blood pressure every 5 minutes. But then I was fine. I recovered, and I had a good recovery and everything. And it was completely different than any of the other kids.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nikki.
Okay, so Nikki took a little bit of time to get pregnant with him, but I had a little bit of morning sickness, not much. felt really good almost through the entire pregnancy. And then I was told, that girls, when you're pregnant with girls, they take your beauty away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you didn't feel good with Camilla. So we bet you're having a boy now. I was like, really? And they're like, yeah.
Wow.
And it was true.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, boys just don't take your beauty away like girls do. I was like, okay.
Well, that's the opposite for me, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different for everybody.
I know.
That's just what they said. And so I went into labor with him. I'll never forget it. I had just got you settled down for a nap. It was 4:00 in the afternoon on a weekday. And I was going to get in bed and lay down and watch Oprah because she came home at 4:00. And as soon as I laid down, I heard this. I could feel it ripping in my stomach. I could hear it with my ears.
Yep.
And then I felt the water gushing out.
It's insane.
So I knew my water had broke.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, no. Okay. So somehow I got in touch with your father. We had no cell phones back then either, but I called him at work. And I called your grandfather, Papa, to come get you. And that's Daddy's dad. And he did. Meanwhile, I wanted to take a shower because I knew it'd be days before I could take a shower. So I wanted to go ahead and take a shower. So I did.
That's crazy.
I was waiting on your father to get home to take me. So he took me in. We got there. And my friend Kim, who's Alicia, your OB's mother, I had her coming with us this time to video the experience.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have that film.
Mm-hmm.
So she did. And so we, everything was going great. And I had been there for a short period of time. And then all of a sudden I started to black out. And I asked for ice chips. I had Kim take my socks off. And I just felt really hot and nauseated. And I could tell I was going down. Oof. So it was, then the nurse, she pushed a button and a bunch of people ran into the room. And they were just getting ready to give me a shot of atropine in my heart to make sure I didn't die, I guess.
Yeah.
And this nurse practitioner came in. He was amazing. And he came in and he goes, wait a minute. And he flipped me over on my left-hand side. And then he started pushing down on Nikki to get him off of my heart. And my blood pressure started coming back up.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, so that was great. I was feeling better and everything. I was like, I got to push. And they're like, oh, no, you're not close to 10 centimeters. I said, oh, I think I am. And so somebody felt up there and they go, oh, she is. Don't push. I mean, how do you not push when you're ready to push?
Yeah.
So then I had to wait on my doctor to get
and this
there.
Is natural. This is
so I'm having natural. I didn't get to have an epidural. Yeah. So I had your brother completely natural.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you remember the feeling?
Oh, yeah. That's something you don't forget.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you kind of forget. That's why you have more children. Or else if you really remembered the actual pain, you wouldn't have more than one. Right. But natural anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was pretty scary.
Yeah. That's really scary.
Yeah, that was scary. It was tough. But I did it.
Yeah. How was it bringing Nikki home with me? Because I was like almost 4.
You were 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
So how was I? Like, how was that?
Well, you were just immediately in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just were smitten from the second you saw him.
Mm-hmm. I remember, honestly.
Yeah, I have a sweet picture of me, you, and Nikki in my room.
I know.
It's
I
really
love that
sweet.
picture. I'm imagining it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. So that was a special time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's, I guess you bringing him home made me just get that little motherly instinct and become a big sister.
Yeah.
Which, we weren't always perfect to each other.
No, y'all weren't. And over the years, I have found out more and more things. Y'all did. Especially to your little sister.
Oh, poor Francesca. She was,
yeah,
she
tortured her.
was tortured a little bit. But she's my best friend now.
She is.
We always were so close. We were just like little hell raisers together and troublemakers and testing y'all out. But we weren't like that at school or like with other people. It was just with you guys.
Yeah.
Making it
Saved it
hell
all
for
me.
y'all.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is crazy. What about with Francesca? Did anything crazy happen with your blood pressure or anything like that?
Oh, of course it did. Yeah, so with Francesca, we decided that I would have Kim come back to video again, and then I'd have my other best friend, Pamela, to share in the experience, and my mom.
Wow.
I'm going to have my mom in there too, because she was asleep when her kids were born, and she's never experienced anything like that. So I thought I wanted...
Asleep?
Well, they just knocked you out and took the baby back then.
Oh, my gosh. That's so sad.
Yeah, or, the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Twilight sleep or
Yeah.
whatever they call
kind
it.
of sad.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, you know how things change all the time.
Yeah.
So I had them there, and we were really excited. And I was getting my epidural, and I said, I made sure. I said, look, I go really fast. I really want to get this epidural before it's too late.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get it for you. So I got it. Well, as soon as I got that epidural, my blood pressure bottomed out.
You passed out?
No. My blood pressure bottomed out. Like it did with you right after I had you, right before I had Nikki, and now right after I had the epidural for Francesca, it bottomed out. So they had to send everybody out the room to give me the epidural, and they just were not calling them back in. So my friend Pamela, who's a nurse practitioner, she knew something was up. It was just been too long. But eventually they let everybody back in, and I pushed Francesca out pretty quickly. But at one point, the doctor said, stop. She's wearing jewelry. And so he unwrapped the umbilical cord around her neck once. And he goes, oh, another one. I unwrapped her again. He goes, she's wearing 3 necklaces. And unwrapped her again. At this point, everybody knows that's serious.
Yeah.
So my mother's about to pass out. So Pamela's trying to get her seated.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And Francesca came out, and her lips were, purple, and it was really scary, but she ended up being fine. And but it was a very scary situation.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
So I was just glad that I had gone into labor when I did with her. I went into labor at 37 weeks with her. So you and Nikki were 38 weeks. She was 37 weeks. And because we just wanted to make sure she was going to be okay.
How long was it? Do you know how long it could have been wrapped around her neck?
It could have been a very long time.
Was she okay?
Yeah. I mean,
that's scary.
It's very scary. You never know. Every birth is a miracle. You don't think about that. People don't talk about that. You don't realize that when you're growing up. But then as you start experiencing pregnancy and labor and delivery, you realize people just don't talk about their experiences. And I thought back, I said, well, how come nobody ever told me it was going to be like this? Your grandparents didn't tell you, your parents didn't tell you. Nobody talked about it. Of course, we didn't have social media or cell phone or anything like that, but people just didn't speak of things like that. Yeah. Maybe because they wanted you to have kids, and they knew you may not. If you knew how risky it was.
And it's uncomfortable, and it's a sensitive subject, and it's private.
It is.
But now with social media in this day and age, I mean, it's social media has pros and cons, but one of the pros is I love hearing these kinds of stories, and I've honestly learned a lot about being a parent to Chessa with things, or being a parent to a crazy toddler. I learn a lot of, different ways on there, but social media now, everybody is, not everybody, but a lot more people are so much more open to being vulnerable about this kinds of stuff.
Right.
Not to scare you, but to just help you be a little prepared. Because like you say, you're like, why didn't anybody tell me any of this stuff? I mean, I kind of felt the same way. I mean, Chessa's, pregnancy and delivery went really well, but what I was in shock about was the postpartum stuff and the breastfeeding. I just imagined my boob as a bottle and like milk just in there always. And I just imagine you just put them on your boob, boop,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Nope, not even close.
No.
And then, you know, you hear about baby blues or whatever. And I kind of heard about postpartum depression, but when I heard the word depression, I guess I looked at that negatively or something, but I was like, oh, that's not going to happen to me.
All right.
Oh, it happened to me. Postpartum depression. And then the second go around, I was like, okay, it's not going to happen to me this time. But it did, plus the postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think that talking about all of this is important.
It is.
And I want everybody to not feel alone during these kinds of times. But also talking about the postpartum stuff, because when you do have those baby blues or the postpartum depression or anxiety, you might not be alone and you might have the greatest support system, but you still feel alone because you're the mom. You're the one that just gave birth. You're the mom that's healing. You're the one that's either breastfeeding or just feeding with formula, like whatever, or pumping. You're the one feeding that baby, connecting with that baby. And sometimes some moms have postpartum depression and I don't want to say don't have a connection with their baby, but that sometimes happens. I have a friend that happened to. Still absolutely loves her baby, but she just felt weird with it. And she finally just discovered, you know, I do have postpartum depression, and she finally got on something, and now she literally feels like that blockage is gone.
That's awesome.
And that's what's happened with me is I wasn't in denial. I knew I had it, but I just was fighting to get out of it so hard, which is good. But I tried everything naturally, honestly, that I could. Therapy. After Chessa was born, I worked out a lot. After Redland was born, I'm not going to lie, I've worked out like 2 times. But and then, you know, some supplements and stuff to help boost my mood. I've tried so many things, you know, to have me time, and just nothing was working for me. As you even said today, I'm literally like a different person right now. But I finally was like, okay, I've got to do something different. And I'm on some antidepressants, and it's really helping with my anxiety. And that's what was getting me. I would literally think the worst thoughts. I would just be driving and I would see an airplane and be like, they're about to drop bombs on us. And then I'm going to have to drive back and go get Raylan and Chessa. And like, what? And I know what's going on in the world, and our country is
scary.
It's scary. And it's
very scary.
It's different than, I mean, y'all, of course, every generation has had things go on, but I would say there's a lot more anxiety going on, a lot more factors going on with our generation.
Yeah. Anxiety's at the roof. It's the highest level ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those kind of things were happening to me, bad thoughts, and even things where I couldn't even sleep, or every single night having a nightmare where like it was like The Walking Dead, like zombies, like anything into the world where I'm carrying my children and having to protect them. That's what I was dreaming about or having a nightmare about. And so I haven't even thought about it till right now, but I definitely haven't had those dreams lately. So that's good. My anxiety is still there a little bit. Might need to bump up my dosage, but it's just, I feel like I can breathe. I feel like weight is lifted off my shoulders. So I guess I just, want to make a point that being on antidepressants is not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. I know a lot of people, including some family members of mine, that don't like it and don't agree with it, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just helping you.
She's not talking about me, people.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about my dad and brother. But some people just need that extra boost of help. Yeah. And I mean, especially after having a baby, all your hormones changing and shifting.
Yes.
I have needed that extra help, and eventually I'm going to work to get off them. I'm not going to need them forever. But I am okay with the fact that I'm on these and I feel like a different person.
Yes.
I feel so much more like I feel like I'm myself again.
Yes.
And of course, other things going on in my life, we're factoring into this. Of course, I've had a lot of crazy things. You had breast cancer, and it's been 3 years now.
3 years.
3 years since your surgery. Mm-hmm. And so that happened, and me personally, when things like that happen with someone I love, I think I'm better now, but I am not very good at, I don't know, if like a grandmother got sick, I would like push away because I can't face it or something. Mm-hmm. It just scared me. I don't know.
Compartmentalize it. Mm-hmm.
But now I definitely am not like that. A defense mechanism, and you're scared and, crying baby. Hold that thought. Okay. Scene, we're back on. Sorry, had to be a mom to my crying son who hit his head for the 50th time today.
Oh, poor baby.
My little angel. But I honestly don't remember what we were talking about.
Well, let's see. We were talking about postpartum depression.
Yes.
And anxiety and things
Yes.
like that women experience after they've given birth. I was very fortunate that I did not have postpartum depression or even the blues. But I will say that my OBGYN group was very good about checking on you, making sure you weren't having any of those feelings and everything. They were really on top of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciated it. But what I wasn't lucky with was my nursing. I had a terrible time nursing, and my mother had told me she had a terrible time nursing, and so she didn't nurse. Well, I was determined that I was going to nurse.
Yep, sounds like me.
And so with you, when I first had you, I finally got to my room after my 12 hours. I had a lot of visitors, and it was time for me to try to nurse you, and Daddy had one of his friends in there that just was not taking the hint that I wanted to nurse. And
people don't take the hint.
Oh, it's bad.
It bothers me.
Really bad. And so back then they had these little glass bottles of like sugar water that you could give the baby if you were strictly nursing. So, and you didn't want to give formula.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
weird.
I actually ordered some and have them delivered to the house so that I could give you if that happened again or somebody was there and I needed to nurse, but I could give you that.
I'm just going to be like, get out.
Yeah. So I had a hard time nursing anyway, and my friend Kim, who's your OB's mother, and my friend Pamela, who is a good friend. The three of us were best friends.
And my
We were
godmother.
And your godmother. We were all pregnant at the same time. And I delivered first. And on the 28th. And then Kim delivered 4 days later. Well, on her delivery day, I couldn't go see her because I had a 104.5 degree fever with mastitis. Cracked and bleeding nipples. It was just awful. Awful.
I know that
I've never
pain.
been so sick in my life. It was terrible. But I was determined to make it work. And we didn't have electric pumps back then. We had hand pumps where you pump one breast at a time. So I was going to see a lactation specialist. Daddy would take us, you and I, to a lactation specialist. And I was doing everything she said, but it was a long, hard road with you, really hard. With the other two, I definitely knew I wanted to nurse, and I was determined I was not going to get mastitis. And I think I got engorged breasts, but I never really got mastitis with a fever or anything. So I did a lot better with them, but I still had cracked and bleeding nipples, and it was hard. But the pumps were getting a little bit better. But
Right.
Still not great like they have now. But I nursed you for about 5 months maybe, and nursed your brother and sister for 2 years. I let them wean themselves. And yeah, so I think your brother was 2 years to the day, and it may have been a week after 2 years with Francesca, even though I never thought in a million years I would go that long with another baby.
Yeah.
But it worked out that way, and it was great. And so it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Your experience with me sounds exactly like my experience with Chessa.
Yes.
I did not know enough about it. I probably should have taken a course or, did something. Now I follow this Instagram I think it's called Mommy's Milk or something like that. And I've learned so much just from that.
Yeah.
But, and then, so I didn't get to put her like on my boob right away. And I honestly think that does help a little bit. And I mean, everybody's different, but, my nurse just was not in a rush to do that. And I just was like, okay.
Right. Because you don't know.
You don't know anything. It's your first time, and you just don't know anything. And so, anyway, and I also kind of feel like they're not exactly pro nursing there at hospitals. I don't feel that way at all.
That's too bad.
Which
They should be pro whatever the mom wants.
exactly, that's what I think. But anyway, so the first one with Chessa, it just cracked bleeding nipples. I got mastitis bad. I just so engorged. I mean, my boobs felt like literal concrete.
Oh, I remember.
I just didn't know what to do. You got that 102 fever, shaking, freezing. I literally thought I was going to die. But I still wasn't going to give up. You know, I kept going through it, but then it was taking so much from me, and I had already had postpartum depression. I knew I did. And I like sometimes be like, I failed, but you know what? Like, I didn't fail.
No,
I didn't give up. I went as far as I could have, and finally I was like, I can't lose myself anymore.
No.
And so went into formula. And she is a healthy girl. She is good to go. But I think I did that for like almost 3 months, but just not successfully because I went back to work too soon. I literally had a wedding 7 days later with stitches down there, and not a good idea. Wouldn't recommend that to anyone.
No, don't do that. You're pretty determined to
I was.
do
I was
what
like,
you wanted
I
to
can
do.
do that. It's fine. Whoops. No, but can't back out of a wedding.
No, you can't. That's a commitment.
Yeah. So I did have help. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for my 2-second shooters for helping me. But
Absolutely.
anyway, and then with Raylan, I was determined again, I'm going to do it. I had a lot more knowledge on it. I was going to get a lactation consultant this time. I'm going to put him immediately on my boob. So literally right when they handed him to me, and you can see in my video I posted the other day with him, you know, I put him on my chest, and then I was like, all right, stop recording. I'm putting him on my boob immediately. And the nurse was like, oh, he's probably not hungry. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing this.
That's right.
Don't tell me what to do. No, I'm just kidding. But put him on my boob. Boom. He latched immediately. Yeah. He was ready immediately. And breastfeeding still was rough. I don't think I was cracked or bleeding. I don't remember for my second. It's crazy how you can remember all this so long ago. And I can't remember. And it was like a year ago. Not even. But anyway, I got mastitis twice. It was horrible. I felt so sick. And doing breastfeeding with other baby like Chessa, that was rough because, you know, she wants my attention. She's used to my attention. But then he needs me. And Raylan was rough. I mean, I had colic, so I was a rough one for you. That's another story you share. But he had colic too, and he just literally was on my boob like every 30 minutes or less. I mean, constantly needed to be.
He's
on my
a big
boob.
boy.
He's
and
huge.
he likes to eat.
He likes to eat. He eats every hour.
Yeah. Yes.
Or less.
Yes.
But anyway, it went great. I breastfed him for 6 months. 6 months and 9 days. Got to add those 9 days in there.
Absolutely. Every day counts.
Yeah. And when I'd go to weddings, I would pump with my LV pump, which I highly recommend if you have a job like mine. Like, I'm a wedding videographer, so I could go. Honestly, while I was filming, I would just stick him in my nursing bra and I would pump while I'm filming, and I didn't really care. Like, no one cared. Everyone was, you know, supporting me, rooting me on. And then I had like a little backpack cooler, and I'd put ice in it, and I'd store the milk in there. And then he would just drink, you know, I'd have formula just in case there wasn't enough breast milk at home. And then whoever was watching him would, you know, feed him the formula or the breast milk. Yes. But it went really great. But I came to a point where my postpartum depression and anxiety was so bad. I was like, all right, I got to get on something. And I'm like a weirdo about medicine, so I didn't want to breastfeed and be on some, even though there is some you actually can even take while pregnant. Yeah. But I was weird about it. So I decided to start weaning them off for a while, which was very emotional for me. I know that's like might sound weird to some people, but you just feel so connected and like they just need you. And that was our routine. And I still miss it, honestly, but I knew it was time for me to get on something. And then we stopped, and then, you know, it took weeks for my milk to stop coming in because I had so much coming in. It took a long time, and finally got the cabbage leaves. Put the cabbage leaves in my bra that you bought for me. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And that made a huge difference, which is so weird. It like dries out your milk. Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, and then I went from awesome double D's to just deflated balloons. -A size deflated balloons right here, flat chested. It's great. That's what breastfeeding does to you. But, you know, maybe I'll get a boob job one day, or maybe I'll just rock the saggy boobs. We'll see. But anyway, but then when I started breastfeeding, my hormones shifted so much that I thought, oh, I don't even have anxiety anymore. And then like a week later, I was like, oh, yes, I do. But I'm still not going to take medicine. It's fine. It'll go away. Then I went few months. Like I've only been on these for like 2 weeks. So I went a while still without it because I was just in denial. But now I'm on them, so I'm really glad. But anyway, my breastfeeding journey with Jess and Raylan were complete opposite.
And everybody's is different.
Everyone's is different. And I will say this too. I read a post about this girl who, you know, had a horrible pregnancy, super emotional, was probably depressed during pregnancy. And she just knew if she had a horrible breastfeeding journey that it was just going to bring her down even farther. So she chose formula, which is fine.
Absolutely.
And that is fine. No one should ever pressure anyone to do one thing or another. You can give people helpful tips if they want them.
Yes.
But let people decide that for themselves, you know, and don't pressure anybody, because with Chessa, I was going through such a hard time breastfeeding her and in so much pain that I kept feeling pressure from outside people. Not you, Mom, don't worry.
Okay, good.
To just feed her formula. And I'm like, no. And so I felt guilty for trying to breastfeed.
Right.
You shouldn't feel guilty for giving them formula. You shouldn't feel guilty for trying to breastfeed. It's everybody's journey is different. Every baby's different.
That's right.
So, anyway, but it's just good to talk to people about it. I mean, I've made so many mom friends just about breastfeeding, like through Instagram, because, you know, I've been vulnerable in some posts about mom life. And I've just made friends from that because moms need to stick together. We need to talk about this. And
for sure,
if you aren't a mom yet and you're wanting to be one, then listen to this too. Talk to people, learn like people's stories and experiences so you can kind of have an idea. I mean, it's still going to be an adventure for you, an experience for you, but just talk to people about it.
It'll be unique just to you.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a unique experience.
Absolutely.
When I stopped with you, I knew I had to, and I just wasn't producing enough milk. You were a very hungry child. And
I got payback.
But I felt a little bit guilty about it for a short period of time, but not too long, because I just wanted to do it longer. But I figured you got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we should talk about you because this is your first podcast. So I think we should do just an introduction about who you are.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, you're going to embarrass me a little bit?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, go for it.
So one of the very first things that I remember about you that's unique and different and kind of started off your amazing life and through the years, and just kind of stands out to be something that's unique and different about you, is that you were born with these calf muscles that were so defined. I had never seen anything like it before. But I will say I wasn't surprised because you kicked my ribs for so long. It hurt so bad. So I thought, well, at least my pain served for something.
Oh, my gosh. I came out with calves.
Got this daughter with these badass-looking calf muscles that were so well-defined. It was crazy.
That's hilarious.
Of course, it took a long time before we realized that you were going to put those calf muscles to good use.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we knew you loved to run from a very early age, and you were quick, and that, served you well in your soccer career. And we, knew that you were a really good, feisty little soccer player in your elementary school years, but when they wanted you to start playing soccer, some of the Christian Brothers coaches saw you at a camp or something and wanted you to start playing club. That's when we were in the middle of losing Gary Michael and then having Francesca and losing her twin. So we had a lot going on, so we didn't get into the club life right away. So you were a little bit behind starting into that, but you made up for it, girl.
Yeah.
had a great soccer career and just did some amazing things. I don't know if people know that about you.
No, a lot of people don't.
Yes, and you have just always brought so much joy to your father and I. And because you just do so many amazing things. You have a lot of determination and grit about you, and you're a very hard worker. And we also, another way that we realized that you had that in you was that one Christmas when you were young, you decided to come into the dining room when we were having this big Christmas brunch with the family over, and you just started singing "Oh Holy Night" with Celine Dion. Yes. And I mean, we were just in shock. I wasn't quite as shocked as the grandparents because I'd heard you practicing, but you would never do it in front of us. So you decided to come do it in front of everybody, and it was just such a gift on such a special holy day. So that was something that you just worked on until you could do it. And those two things kind of just led you down a path of theater and soccer, and you were able to intertwine both of those, even though neither one of those entities wanted you doing the other thing.
No.
Because they wanted you to themselves. You worked it out. And had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And eventually you did have to make a decision and decided to stick with soccer, and you could go back to theater in your older years.
Yeah, I still think about that sometimes.
Yeah, you could still do it. I mean, fun. You can always go back to theater. Yeah. You can't just really go back to soccer. So I think that's why you stuck with that. And it's a healthy activity. And so we were definitely for, team sports or any sports really for the kids, so to keep them active, since you couldn't really play outside like your father and I did when we were growing up. It was completely different. So we definitely were for that, and you did well and ended up playing Division I college soccer and won a championship, won a state championship in high school, and it's very, very special.
Yeah, I miss soccer so much. I still dream about it.
I miss seeing you play. I mean, it was heartbreaking when you had to stop, but it's a lot of fun. And, I mean, it was hard when you stopped theater, too, because we just loved, watching you and all your musicals and everything that you were in. It was a lot of fun, but really missed when you stopped playing soccer.
Yeah.
But we had your brother and sister
to
take up our time.
Exactly. Now it'll be exciting to see Chessa and Raylan.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Sports, or whatever they decide to do. I mean, they're both going to be athletic and musical like me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Wade.
Yeah.
Because Wade played baseball and obviously is a musician, so has great talent.
A lot of talent running through those veins. That's for sure. So anyway, when, you told me you were going to do this podcast, I wasn't completely in shock because you always have great ideas.
Thanks.
And you just amaze me, the things that you can come up with, and then you actually make them happen.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see how this goes. I know it's going to be successful. You're really passionate about what you're talking about with women and children and being a mom and a wife and stuff like that. So I think it'll be great, and people need to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm excited to share my experiences.
I know. I'm excited because we have so many more things that we'll talk about. So we'll have many more episodes with you.
Yay.
If you're willing to share.
Maybe that's because, am I doing a good job?
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. Good job.
She gets a little bit of things from me, not much.
You think I'm more like Dad?
Well, with your talent and stuff. Yeah, for
you
sure.
You have talent too, Mom.
Oh, well, thank you.
You were a cheerleader and a swimmer.
I was.
Yep. I went the opposite way. I went soccer and soccer.
Yeah. I wasn't great at those things, though,
And fishing. You like to fish.
Well, I was good at that. I'm still good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a good fisher woman.
Yes, I am.
But yeah, when, I was going through all the, well, first of all, thanks for all the compliments.
You're welcome.
Going down memory lane.
Yes.
It's so weird that I'm now in your shoes and I'm now a mom with little kids. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I think I say it every day to Wade. I'm like, those are our kids. Like, this is our life. Like, you're my husband. Like, you think about this forever. like growing up, or at least I did. And now this is it. So I'm like, whoa. And I'm trying to take in every moment. And now that my anxiety is going away, I can actually really take it in.
Yeah.
But anyway, in January is when I kind of came up with this idea because, you know, I didn't take any breaks with weddings, with being pregnant, or after giving birth. I did take 4 weeks off with Raylan, but that is simply not enough.
No, it's not.
I still had to edit and all that. But anyway, and I just knew this year I need, or even in the future years, need to do less. I was doing like 45 plus weddings every year, which is not easy, but easier when you don't have children.
Right.
So now that I do, I just knew this year, I love my job so much. I love weddings so much. I love my couples.
You're so passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about it. And I just like love, like when I post my videos, I think I watch them like 500 times because I'm just so obsessed with them. But I just didn't want to feel that burnt out feeling for it. And I'm like, what can I do? Because, you know, I come up with different ideas. Like I came up with dog sessions a few years ago and then donated half that money, you know, to whatever, Humane Society or whatever. And then the fundraiser with Anna Kate Foundation. But I was like, what can I do that's going to help me and like kind of give me some me time, because I was not doing that for myself at all. And so I came up, I haven't listened to podcasts, and they've been around for a while, and I have not listened to them, but Wade loves them. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to listen to one. And I started listening to one, and now I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I wouldn't say I'm the best speaker or talker or whatever, but can be very therapeutic for me, but other moms, because I have had such a crazy experience with pregnancies and just motherhood and everything. And so, and I have so many friends and family members that I want, and people I don't know and can't wait to meet, that I want to bring here or over the phone and let them tell their story, because I love hearing anything to do with like mom stories, because I can relate to it. I want people to feel like they can relate to me, to whoever's giving the story, you. I want people to not feel alone, because, you know, you and I are blessed. We do have a partner, so we do have our help with our kids, or you did have your help with your kids.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of single moms out there, and there's single dads out there. And so, you know, that's something that can be a great episode for people to hear. And like, we already know how hard it is to be a parent. I can't imagine being a single parent. So and then of course, you know, infertility stuff. I have someone coming on and going to talk to me with that. And it's just so emotional, and a lot of people are going through it right now.
For sure.
And you can learn so much. Like I had one episode that will be my next one about PCOS, and that would have caused her a lot of infertility issues. But anyway, I've just learned so much about different things. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to do this. And I started thinking, I was like, I need like they're all special, but I need like a really special one for my first one. Like, what should I do? And I was like, well, it's a podcast about moms. I got to have my mom, duh. Yeah. So I'm so glad that it was you to get to do this with me.
I'm so glad too. Should I tell them one thing that was hard about you? Because I've gloated about all the good things.
Go right ahead.
This is going back, but you had colic really bad. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was, and they kept telling me, oh, by the time she's 3 months, she won't have it. And 3 months would come and go. And this went on and on and on for a long time. And my friend Pamela, that I had mentioned before, she had her son, and he didn't sleep, and he cried a lot, and he was premature and had some things going on. He's doing great now, by the way. But we didn't have cell phones back then. So we each knew that neither one of us were sleeping at night, and that y'all were crying a lot. But we couldn't call each other just to vent, because we didn't want to wake each other up if it was the one night that you finally slept, because we just kept praying, it's going to happen. We're going to sleep. They're going to sleep. But you cried from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when you cried.
Oh, boy.
Nonstop.
Oh,
and
boy.
So your father.
Nonstop, like not for 1 second stopping.
I mean, well, maybe for a minute, while I was feeding you or something. But your father, he gigged a lot back then.
Yeah.
And so he would come home at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you'd be crying, I'd be crying. So wash your hands, and then I'd just hand you over to him.
Wow.
And he would just take you so I could go get some sleep. And then we took turns having you sleep on our chest because you would only sleep while you were sleeping on our chest. So we would lay there, and, you know, they told us don't do that, you know, because you could roll over on them or whatever. But we just wanted to sleep. And so we said, well, we'll take turns. I'll have you for 2 hours, and then I'll give you to Daddy for 2 hours. So after an hour, I say, honey, 2 hours is up. It's your turn. He'd say, okay.
You wouldn't even look at the clock.
No, because I was the one who was nursing you. So,
so you deserved it.
Yeah, and changing your diaper, whatever. But he would hold you longer so I could get some rest, which I really appreciated. It was hard. It was a tough road. I was lucky that none of the others had that.
Oh, I don't even know how you had another one. If Raylan was my first one, wow, because he cried a lot. And
it may have been while we waited a little bit of time.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. 3 years with just me.
Yeah, it was.
And when did I stop crying?
7 o'clock in the morning.
No, like
how old were you? I think it was like close to 6 months. It's probably in your calendar.
I thought you said 9 months. I think it says 9 months.
Does it say 9 months? Okay, it's probably 9 months. That calendar knows.
Yeah.
Because I kept a daily log of calendar.
It says 9 months.
Yeah, it was 9 months. Then you finally started sleeping through the night, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough.
Really hard. Newborn stage is rough.
It is.
Some people have easier. Yeah, cool. Colic's really rough. And the fact that I wanted to sleep on my stomach on your chest, like, really proves that it was colic. Because, you know, your tummies hurt so bad.
And we didn't have weighted sleepers, and we didn't have all that stuff.
Sound machine,
Nothing.
Outlet.
We would drive you around at night. You know, I tried putting you on the dryer. That didn't work. You know, we tried everything.
Yeah.
Not
working.
Well, anyway, I just had to share that little tidbit.
It didn't embarrass me. It just made me realize that I got payback.
Maybe so.
So
just a little bit.
Jess and Raylan, if you're listening to this when you're in your, I'm going to say mid to late 20s having kids, you're getting payback. You're getting payback.
Not that we are excited about that when that happens, but in some ways it's
kind of funny because, you know, you get to come over and watch them, and then when it starts getting crazy, y'all can hand them off to me and go, bye-bye. We're going to go home and lay in bed and watch Survivor and drink a drink and go to sleep for 12 hours. And I'm not. So, Anyway.
That's the benefits of being old.
Whatever, you're not old. But I will say, it's so hard, but I do not want this stage of my life to pass. I do not want it to go. So I'm taking every second.
Yeah.
Taking in every second, every memory. I have, you know, Raylan or Chessa's calendar from her whole first year of life, Raylan's calendar from his.
Good.
I slacked on his a bit. I would like go a whole month without forgetting to write something. So I would go back to my Snapchat and calendar and be like, okay, you did this on this day. Oh yeah.
Lucky.
Oh yeah. I'm still, it's all written in.
Good.
But I freaking love it. And now that I'm freaking not having so much anxiety, I can actually enjoy it. I loved it before with the anxiety and depression. But it's like you just have so much going on. Like you can't even see. Your anxiety like blinded me.
Yes.
It blinded me. So anyway, so now I can just really take it in and enjoy it. And when I have Chessa being, you know, in her terrible twos, I can, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to go shoot myself, I just go, okay. How should we approach this, Wade? Instead of So anyway,
good.
Mom, I think this was the perfect first podcast for Momzilla.
Yes, I love Momzillas.
Yes, Momzillas. I've been calling myself that for a while now. We could talk forever, Mom. But I love you, and I'm so thankful for you, and I'm so excited for everyone to start listening to the Momzilla podcast. I don't know what you're supposed to say here. Subscribe. I don't even know if you can subscribe on here, but you know what? Listen in, and I'll try that out. Yeah, I'll try to have an episode once a week. If I don't have one that week, it's because something crazy that has to do with being a mom happened. So
that's right.
I know you understand.
I
Just
do.
like my hair was soaking wet earlier because I didn't have time to blow dry and curl it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's okay.
Being a mom.
That's
anyway, peace out. Love you.
Peace out. Love you.
This one's for the mothers.